engines roaring to life here from the grid. KA Masters for the Queen City Gambit. Pre-final action getting ready to roll. It's the first of our few, and well, let's take a look at the starting grid for your KA Masters pre-final. It'll be John Bonanno on the inside of the front row after that Heat 2 finish. Swapped a bunch of spots around. Eric Fagan, top qualifier, still will join him on the outside of that first row in second, and then Paul Montopoli and Brent Harper make up row 2.
Then behind him, row number 3, Scott Falcone and Austin Queen, followed by Muir will start in 7th. Then it's Adamar Yamagaro who will start in 8th position. Anthony Stifler in 9th. Mark Steele back in the 10th position amongst your first 5 rows of starters here.
It's a good field here. Pick out your favorite drivers, see where they're rolling off the grid from. One driver will scratch from this one. That'll be Sean Bailiff. He had to back out of racing yesterday. Talking about the high G load here, I was experiencing a bit of vertigo, unfortunately, and between that and some extra pain, he decided, you know what? I'm going to focus on what we've got, which is some fast TKG Bureau Arts in a number of divisions, and we'll wait for that marquee return for later. For now, KA Masters is green, and we are away down to turn number 1, racing it away with a clean start and a clean getaway for the field. Looks to be good still through 2 and 3, and John Bonanno keeps that number 1 plate at the top of the pylon. He leads us through the back sector for the very first time.
Good start for the one machine to be able to get that jump he needed to get. Oh, that's while the rest of the drivers try and get sorted out single file here. Montopoli looks like he got another great start to be able to leapfrog his way forward a bit here, but the rest of the field stayed all single file as they make their way through Sector 3.
Out of that back hairpin. Oh no, we got problems for Falcone. Slowing out of the last turn. Everyone is scattering to avoid him now. And the 299 bogged down heavily. More contact up front. Mark Steele wheel to wheel with the 223 of Evan Kozak. They'll go side by side, and Steele's going to win that argument out of turn number 4. And in the run over to 5, Eric Fagan's gotten through as well. See Kozak now defending a little bit as they stack him and pack him right around the edge of the top 10 down the backstretch for the second time. And all the while, John Bonanno, Paul Montopoli are starting to get away. It's a healthy gap for the pair of them. Then Miguel Mir, and then side-by-side action for 4th. Eric Fagan from the outside of the front row going backwards in a hurry, trying to make up for that opening lap. He's back at least 2 spots away from neutral now, but a long way away here. 2 seconds and counting. Now mark it at 2.5 to the next go-kart on track.
Yeah, did not get the grace of launches at all. Had a bit of contact, believe, out the start. That from that outside line that see him shuffled into the marbles. Now it's going to become a massive push just to have a recovery drive here. Still 10 minutes to see if he's got the raw pace to get back up there. But you know who's got the raw pace to battle? Montopoli having a great run so far in this pre-final, right up to the back end of Bonanno. He definitely has the short run pace at least in that car.
For sure, he has looked sporty on the opening couple laps with low air pressure, cold tires, firing off really nice. And yesterday, it was a slow burn. It was a little bit better at each session. Qualifying for Paul Montopoli, kind of middle of the pack, middle of the top 10 really, I guess upper mid-pack. Heat number 1, started to make some moves back from the edge of the top 10 to close in on the top 5. Heat 2, he was in the top 5, in the picture for most of that race. Now here in the pre-final, building off that momentum. He's actually going to go to the lead now. A big move, a little curb hop. Not perfectly clean driving for sure, maybe not as seamless as he would have hoped it would have been, but it's a good pass. And it will move him to lead his first laps of the weekend. Best Kart out in front, produced by AMV Products. You'll notice they produce the wheels and a number of components for a handful of other chassis on the grid, but this is their first foray into building a go-kart. It began at the Super Nationals in 2023. They ran a limited schedule last year. This year, again, Paul Montopoli in KA Masters, TJ Coyen in KA Senior, and hopefully they'll be able to continue to grow that program and add more drivers to the fold. For now, he's doing what he needs to do to put it on display and maybe attract some leading laps, winning races, that'll do that. To the line this time by another lap in the books and another lap for best kart out in front here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, all this is while that 277 is closing in. Fagan has not been able to chew into the gap really at all, despite having 42.2s last time by. Still is 3 seconds back of the leader. As things progress, as you see the air pack right now, Steele, good run so far for him, already up about 3 spots. Evan Kozak just in front of him has gone up 5 to 6 positions as times progressed, as you see some of the big movers and shakers so far in this field.
Adamar Caligaro pulling the pin and going by Mark Steele at the end of the back straightaway there. Trying to close up to his SLA Kart Racing teammate in Evan Kozak. They're now 6th and 7th. And Mark Steele has got to deal with the 269 of Anthony Stifler, who is right on his heels here going through turns 1 and 2. Austin Queen on the QG3 karting machine, tail end of that group. And then it's a little ways back to find Scott Falcone, who had that moment on the opening lap. Scott Falcone has been one of the best drivers in the races he's run this year right out of the gate. That speed hasn't been able to stay where that initial leg up on the field has been when the races drag on. But in the opening few laps, there's not many that have been better in 2025 Masters competition than the driver of the 299 Orsolone racing car. And behind him, you got Brant Estes, another driver out of the southeastern area. The Georgia-based Eyes Up Racing Group has him in that 209 Tony kart. Right around the halfway mark now, and they've already caught back up to Evan Kozak. We just saw them kind of trade and shuffle spots a little bit there within the group, ultimately netting out the same. And up the road from Kozak, reeling in at Caligaro. But for Evan Kozak and Adamar Caligaro now swapping that 6th position. The next driver to hunt down will be Brent Harper, who rides all on his lonesome in 5th. No one in front, no one behind. He's got a 2.5 seconds till he can get to Eric Fagan, who, as we can see, has already started to make some more inroads on the overall lead. It's down to just 3.1. A couple laps ago was 3.5. Mark at 3 seconds even now. And of course, the driver between himself and the top 2, Miguel Mir, comes before he gets a shot at those 2 positions. He's got to find a way past the Orsolone Tony kart. Mir a little narrow here in the chicane. Fagan's going to set him up. He'll get a big run down the backstretch. Look low, and I think Miguel's probably just going to let him have it. He does.
Looked like Fagan just was able to line things up well with the draft, just wait for the right moment to poke out as the front field continues to see things square away up at the very front of the field. Bonanno and Montopoli still 1-2 as things progress here. Montopoli dropping back behind Bonanno with that move though. Bonanno now looking to try and see if he can run back away here, as now the long run is the big test. We've seen Bonanno has had the long run speed to make passes around this point when you factor in how things have looked in the heat races. Now, can he start to stretch it out over the 265?
Something looks like it's begun to go down in that group behind. They have split up. Mark Steele and Anthony Stifler have now gotten away from Austin Queen in the QG3 machine. He's worked his way past Evan Kozak. Kozak has now dropped from 6th to 10th over the last couple laps, and in doing so has lost a lot of ground overall. See Stifler still pushing along with Mark Steele, working together, trying to get further up the grid. And Austin Queen will now populate into 9th with that move that he just pulled off on the 223 of Evan Kozak. Kozak's got more company on the way there with Falcone and Estes, but he's around the same speed as them, maybe a tick slower. So once the lap times kind of even back out, he gets those tires cleaned off, he might be safe to finish out and not have to deal with any more challenges for position. But that long run speed, not too promising looking into the main event for later today, because this will still be only about 2/3 of the way into the main. We're already well past the halfway point in this pre-final, but those mains will be 14 minutes plus 2 laps, so a couple of extra circuits around the Charlotte Motor Speedway kart track. And that's where, right here, Paul Montopoli is getting a great lesson, or at least a good bit of experience and intel, is maybe a better way to describe it, off of where he needs to find more speed compared to the number 1 Timmy Tech Comp kart of John Bonanno. Bonanno now pulling out to a 2-car length lead at points. He's able to close back up to him partly due to the tow from the run out of turn 7 all the way down to turn number 9. But that said, I'd say that fluorescent yellow is a little bit sportier, maybe a little more planted here in the final few moments of this pre-final, Justin.
Yeah, he's just looked comfortable. That's all you can really say. Good corner exits, good corner apexes, able to hit the speed just right, to time it up right, to build up a little bit of speed this lap. Then it will chip away an air core car length to an air kart length with how things have gone on the corner exits. You've seen this before in the heat races yesterday. Bonanno just has that speed in the opening sectors to just start to run away a bit if you give it to him. And right now, he seems like he's in a spot where unless he has some slip up here, Bonanno is in a prime position to try and win this race and get this pre-final done.
Talk about the best way to keep the number 1 plate on the go-kart. Consistency is one thing. Winning races, winning sessions, that's a whole other. If he's able to win this pre-final after being the best driver on the points sheet through heats 1 and 2, and then parlay that into a main event win, he'll have a healthy and comfortable gap just off the back of weekend number 1 on the season. And while we're at 23 to 24 karts in total, when you look at the deltas through the field on pace, I mean, this is pretty typical of the Masters division, with a major variance of the drivers who are able to drive the go-karts a whole lot and those a little bit less. Montopoli back to the lead now. He takes back over. And we're getting reports that it looked like there was a driver that may have got spun a bit in turn number 1. Corey Albright going around. And he's going to fall way down the leaderboard to 15th. Something happened that was about midway through the pack. Corey Albright, P15 across the line, drop it down.
Yeah, but Montopoli now back in that race lead with the slipstream. I think Bonanno's got the speed to get the pass back in a few laps or so, but the thing is, Montopoli seems to be in a good rhythm. That long run pace is indeed there, it seems. Last time by just was 2/10 quicker than Bonanno. Thing is, the one machine's been consistently a little bit quicker than him overall. You see there how much Bonanno is able to hound the back end of the 265. That's how good he is, even in the draft, to just set it up easily for the pass back.
All of this is going to allow Eric Fagan to inch closer. Don't be too confident here, fellas. He's now down to less than 2.5 seconds away. That pass there is going to bring him a little bit closer. We are going to get another lap in, it looks like. Just going to barely get in under the gun. 8 seconds, 7 seconds at the line. Yes, 3 more laps around the Speedway here for John Bonanno and Paul Montopoli, and Eric Fagan has brought that gap down to 1.8 seconds for the Gold Kart crew. And it's hard to say exactly what seems to be really the yo-yo effect for the top 2 drivers of why that gap opens to 2 to 3 car lengths when they fall behind each other, because looking at it, obviously you're able to kind of get back to the driver's bumper at certain passing zones and make the move stick like Montopoli and Bonanno have done to each other. He's already back up on him. But I think through a lot of the rhythm sections, it's tougher to follow. And I think also with the long, sweeping, high-speed and mid-speed corners that this circuit has, you really pay the price for going offline, even for a split second or any little mistake. Staying on the dark stuff right now, staying on the clean part of the racetrack where you can see how dirty it is offline, seems to be a bigger, maybe a bigger talking point than what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I remember a couple drivers mentioning that yesterday. You go offline, you're likely going backwards, and that's the thing. If you're off that line, it's going to be so difficult to even keep it alongside. We've seen the 1 and 2, for example. A lot of drivers just lose their grip and lose spots from that outside line.
And it's you only have to go wide really one time, right?
Yeah.
You only have to go through all that crud, all that clag offline just in one corner, maybe even half the corner, and then you're going to have to spend a lap trying to make up for it. And on top of the fact, you can see when you get out of rhythm like there how tough it is to follow because you don't have a clear racetrack in front of you. You're trying to set markers on the left or the right side, so if a kart's in front, they don't block it. Montopoli popped the curb in turn 2. It threw him off for 3. It threw him off for 4. He was able to get his balance back by 5, 6, and 7, but the damage has been done. John Bonanno should be able to cruise through the final sector and bring this one home. A good run out of turns 10 and 11 is going to bring Montopoli back close. But that'll do it. John Bonanno, pre-final winner in KA Masters, a tame one, but one with the shark. Eric Fagan lurking in the water and getting closer to them. He ends up 1.7 seconds back at the stripe. Miguel Mayer hangs on for 4th. Adamar Calagaro climbs his way up to 5th, getting to Brent Harper in the late stages and getting around him. Mark Steele and Anthony Stifler just a bit too late to arrive on the scene and make something happen there. So your reigning series champ, who stood on the box here a year ago and started from the pole, led most of the laps, fell to 2nd at points, and worked his way back to the lead to close it out. KA Masters Pre-Final in the books. Your top 15 on screen. We'll show you the rest of the drivers here. Obviously a bummer for Corey Albright. He was able to rebound back to 13th after falling to 15th with a spin down in turn number 1 with how spread the field was. We had 2, unfortunately, not be able to make it past halfway. Kevin Simonelli, John Stanescu, the only 2 unable to finish, and then a scratch for Sean Bailiff. Had us from 24 entries down to 21 at the finish. Pre-final 1 in the books from Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's sunny, it's a little bit windy, a little breeze in the morning, and definitely still a bit chilly outside, but it's going to warm up. The action's just beginning to heat up. Race 1 in the books, a lot more to go here. You're watching Kart Chasers coverage of the Queen City Gambit. You ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Well, would you look at that? It's time for more karts to hit the racetrack. It's time to go Micro Swift Racing for its pre-final. All set to go for this starting grid in the next few moments or so, as overall 28 karts ready to attack the track here, Xander.
That's right, Justin. 28 go-karts in total. Zev Gottschalk will lead your field to green alongside yesterday's exciting Heat 2 winner, Lennox Lockhart. Brody Stoffel will lead the next row off on the inside in third, and then Liam Francisco on the outside in fourth.
You have fifth spot Dominic Nagel, Austin Taylor in sixth. You have Caldera and Javeri in the eighth position. Brown and Westbrook in the top 10. Believe someone did go to the right of the track into the grass and then return, so I think they're amongst the drivers that are going to get shuffled a bit here amongst this 28-car grid. Everybody just about all set to go.
Yeah, let's see if we can figure out who that was. I'm sure we'll get reports from the crew of the driver that may have gone off. They've all at least seemed to make it into the pack together. There's two important lines and cones on the racetrack: a commitment cone and a formation cone or line. There's the commitment cone. That's when you have to be in the correct order. You cannot advance your position after that point. And, of course, the formation cone when they have to be double file and ready to go. The youngest superstars in the Stars Championship Series are ready for action. Zev Gottschalk, Lennox Lockhart, your front row is green.
Good start. Oh, never mind. How about 3-4 spinnies? At least one other driver slowed up there.
Oh, Chavery was the main one that bit the dust there. The number 6 PSL machine spinning around on the high bank of turns 1 and 2. The rest of the field going wide, and it's going to shuffle us tremendously. Look at the start for Slate Harrell. Are you kidding me? That kid just went to second. The Ryan Perry Motorsport-backed Nitro Kart, the number 8, to the point ahead of Lennox Lockhart, and now on to the rear bumper of the race leader at the end of lap 1. Remember, this kid qualified pole. He had to start from the back in both of the heat races for a non-technical infraction, a safety infraction for not having 2 nuts on one of his lead weights. And now at the end of lap 1 here in the pre-final, he's going to make it all go away. New leader, Slate Harrell in the number 8.
Well, that's a way to go from back to front. 13th starting spot was where he was set to grid up for this one. What an incredible drive so far for Harrell, and showing why he's been top of the session in the practices all throughout the weekend so far. He's got an absolute rocket ship underneath him. As we take a look at some of the air battles here, Stowers under attack by one of the drivers that's looked red hot as well in the races, Westbrook, who was pushed off late in one of the races in the heats yesterday. Westbrook's also very fast. He might be a contender also to be one of the big movers to be able to gain some spots, already up 5.
Brody Stoffel and Dominic Nagel, 2 drivers to keep your eyes on. They started 2nd and 4th. They went wide on that opening turn along with Liam Francisco. It looked like the whole kind of second row outside of the front row all got tangled up. And then, of course, Samuel Chavery got the worst of it, getting spun around from 7th. Austin Taylor also back to 22nd. So that's allowed the C's to part. Slate Harrell to get to the lead. He's already driven away. He is gone. That kid is on another level right now. My goodness. Zev Gottschalk, Lennox Lockhart, they're already fighting just for second at this point here in the pre-final. And I don't want to say that to knock on either of these 2 drivers, but just look at the gap that Slate has put on them. Last time by 8 tenths. Another 4 tenths added to it here at the end of lap number 3 for Slate. Behind them, a good start for Caden Cladera. Bo Stowers again still hanging on in 5th, up 5 from 10th on the grid. You mentioned Westbrook, there were 6 who had battled with Stowers a lap ago. Stowers obviously going back around him. Brody Brown 7th, Charlie Skurzapowski 8th, Jack Katowski 9th. Brody Allegretta up from 18th to the 10th position. Great start for Brody in the number 7. But Lennox Lockhart, Zev Gottschalk, doing everything you're supposed to when a driver is well out in front by themselves. That's trying to work together. It's just not really making an impact yet. Let's check back in with some of the bigger battles in the middle of the field. Here's Brody Brown, right ahead of the number 7 of Brody Allegretta. side by side behind him. That's Liam Francisco. Mentioned again, he was one of the 4 drivers that really got hurt by that turn 1 incident. And now we've got a little bit of chaos on the front straightaway. Talk about 3 wide, boys. Grayson Powers to the bottom side of the 91.
Yeah, absolutely blistering his way up the inside, trying to get a bit aggressive right now. Some of these drivers are having some big moments when it comes to this aggression, just sending it, trying to launch their way forward. How about 3 wide yet again? A double pass. Francisco wants all the spots back after starting in the 4th spot. Obviously does not want to be in the hornet's nest. This pack has become that. Side by side, multiple rows deep, all throughout this pack. Everybody trying to get as best position possible and set themselves up for the final. Obviously the encouragement is there to push and push, all while it's so calm up in the front in comparison's sake, where these two are still going the wrong way. Another 4/10 loss last time to Slate.
Yeah, and I think that's why they've traded spots. Lennox Lockhart gave Zev Gottschalk the opportunity to try and lead the pair of them back up to the race leader. Now Lennox has gone to the front of the 2 of them. It looks like he's leading a little bit better than what Zev was, but on the 2 drivers on the younger scale of this class, on the younger side of, or lesser side of experience. At the line that time, the change in position cost him only about 2/10. And you can see Zev Gottschalk struggling a little bit there to hold on to the coattails of Lennox Lockhart. So Lennox now up and into second. He had to drive from way back. Maybe he was a little too patient, you could argue, but hindsight's 20/20. And ultimately, if he would have had the drivers that should have been up there at the front, like Brody Stoffel around, there may have been some more company with an option to work with instead of just Zev Gottschalk to hunt down Slade Harrell. Here's a look at where some of them are in the middle of the field. That's one of the Dan Devereaux Racing entries making a move. On the number 7 looked to be Miles Wilson. In the number 9 making that pass. Next up, Dominic Nagel, the 52, rolled off the grid here in a great spot. He started all the way up in 5th. He's fallen back because of the first lap carnage. As now they fight behind him, he's going to get a little bit of more breathing room to make up for lost time. Jack Katowski inside. Clear on the number 7 of Brody Allegretta. Next up will be Austin Taylor, who also had a top 10 starting spot and also got shuffled back off the start. He's in that black and red MPG Motorsports livery, their new kit for 2025.
These drivers right now so far running at the moment in this pack about a few tenths to about a second off the leader's pace. For reference sake, by the way, how things are looking at the moment. But all this is going to shape up to where 6 minutes left to go. You have a good baseline built up for the final at least to see where things are going to shuffle up. Brody Stoffel already the fastest lap just flew up into the top 10. More accidents, trouble. The 9, Miles Wilson around into the grass. A couple others having to move away from the scene as one more kart is off the racetrack as a result of an incident. So things stacking up in 1 and 2 there for at least 2-3 karts. One more driver added to the DNF list there, Xander.
So for a calm race up front, a little bit more chaos further back, spreading the field out and sadly taking another victim. Let's keep an update here on Brody Stoffel's progress, though, in that white and blue Jay Howard Driver Development Kart Republic, the 29. Next up will be to Liam Francisco, and if the 2 of them can get together, they might be able to pick off a few more before this pre-final ends. Lennox Lockhart and Zev Gottschalk. Now with the 2 of them in this formation, they have been able to match Slate Harrell's pace of what he's doing alone. They have not been able to make any inroads, Justin. 45.7s for the entire top 3. There's not many drivers close to them besides Brody Stoffel and Liam Francisco, who again are now about 10 seconds and some change back from the pair. And Zev, really, I think his biggest weak point has been turns 1 and 2. You see how much wider that kart's been going, tracking out a little bit further, and then he has to spend the rest of the opening sector closing back in. There's a look down on the sidelines heartbreaker always to see any of these young kids not be able to make all the laps, and that'll be the case for the number 42 Nitro Kart machine down at the outside at turns 1 and 2.
Jackson Frank was that driver off the racetrack in that circumstance. But one thing I'm noticing here too is even if with them equalizing out here, Slade Harrell still setting times that are within 0.2 of his personal best. It leaves not a lot of room for error in terms of your lap if you want to be consistent. Not a lot of fall off for him all race long. Francisco, though, very strong drive. Him and Stoffel are now working together, it seems, for now at least, to just continue to go pick off spot after spot on this recovery. And I'm really impressed with what I've seen from Stoffel in particular. Stoffel's actually faster than the leader, and that's why he's making this move, I think, in part. He is faster than Harrell. If he had the track position, we'd be talking about probably that 29 position, that 29 Kart in position to battle for the race lead.
For sure. I think we would see him right up there, battling for it. But the good news is, with the rebound that he's put together, the rebound that Liam Francisco's got, the rebound in the works for Dominic, well, it was in the works for Dominic Nagel. Something happened to the Bennick, of course. It's knocked him back again. But it is a good back through the field type of drive for Austin Taylor, up to 13th from 7th on the grid to recover. So it'll still be a net loss of a couple spots. But if they get into the top 10 positions, they're going to be in a great place to fight from. There's a look at team owner Ryan Perry kind of watching on as he's got a ton of Nitro karts, as well as Liam Francisco's father. Looking at the ground being made up. They're closing in now on Bo Stowers. This will be a looming fight for 6, and then not far up the road is going to be Dutch Westbrook and Caden Cladera. Mike Doty from Mike Doty Racing has a couple of entries in this class. Andrew Anastasio, I believe, in this group. And a number of other entries like Isaac Malcutt, who will be coming up later on in K8 Junior and should be a major factor for the race win.
Still about 90 seconds to work with on the clock, though, and there is one thing starting to pop up a bit. Harrell is starting to have things chip away. Others are still chipping away spots like Stoffel. Their spot gain. Stoffel might get, if he plays his cards right here with Francisco, get to the top 5. These two have swapped again. Gottschalk in front of Lockhart. This time by, it actually lost them some time again. So they were closing back up on Harrell yet again. The swap happens. They lose a couple tenths. They're back to square one. So at this point, there's a yard sale on drawing boards. At this point, add 2 more people that are going to get some drawing boards out.
A look down the pit lane here of some of the other dads watching on. There's Lennox Lockhart's father, following him and the progress that he and Zev Gottschalk are trying to make, as well as the battle for second. The outside of the front row has not been the easiest spot to start from. We've seen that time and time again. So if you're the 14, how much does the championship matter versus maybe a safer potential starting spot in third? Although based on the way this race's start went, third wasn't safe either, because of course second, third, fourth, and fifth and seventh all tangled up and all going down the leaderboard. As now Caden Cladera has fallen all the way to the 8th spot. Lennox's teammate under the Velocity Racing Sodi camp has faded behind Bo Stowers. I don't know if any contact may have happened for him. Looks like Brody Stoffel's progress has now got him to the doorstep of Dutch Westbrook. So this is the group for second and third on your screen. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th as well. And we've got another one in the pit lane. This is the 55 of Roman Machin on the Orioli Kart Performance Kart Republic. Pass there. Lockhart back to the point of the duo, fighting for second with the timer now down to 0.
With Harrell setting an error fast lap at this point, it's more so just battle for yourself. Just try and get the spot where you can. Put on a show, why don't you? As now, it's about playing defensive. Lockhart has to know that Gottschalk is going to try and set up a pass any place possible with how things are looking here. Gottschalk all over the back end, going for another deep lunge.
Big move down the inside for Zev, and that's going to buy him about a car length and a half. You can see all the up and down movement since the grid. 11 spots up for Slade Harrell. What a massive charge forward. Lennox Lockhart and Zev Gottschalk ready to duel a little bit here on this final lap, and almost back to where they started for Brody Stoffel and Liam Francisco. Only a net loss of a couple positions. It'll be a bittersweet end for the pair of them. On the other end of the spectrum here, what about a great run for Grayson Powers? He just got another one. Just got by Caden Cladera there, as you saw, with the swap on the pylon. Move him to 9th. Spencer Height into the top 10 as well from 13th on the grid in the number 35. Slowing Lennox Lockhart. Lennox Lockhart is really slowing on this last lap. Serious issues there. You saw the puff of smoke come out of the pipe. Something is amiss here for the 14. He might just be able to limp it home. Where will he fall? Slade Harrell, pre-final win in dominant fashion. Zev Gottschalk will finish second. Lockhart is going to survive with that gap and all the hard work that he spent building with Zev Gottschalk, and he'll get away with one by still crossing the line in third. A good battle at the end. Westbrook, Francisco, Stoffel, 4th, 5th, 6th. And at the end, Charlie Skurzapowski on the Parolin, able to get by Caden Cladera.
Great run, I think, though. You have to give a shout to Stoffel to be able to get himself back up there. But Harrell, that first lap was something else. Able to get through the chaotic start and immediately take over the lead within a lap and a quarter. Harrell, I think, has kind of made himself very much the target of can he do it again with what he's done on this racetrack. I've been impressed with his speed all weekend long, Xander, because the second I seen him on the eye test, that kart seemed so quick down the straightaways. That's kind of, I think, really helping the fact it's almost like his kart has nitro.
Yeah, he might as well be a slot car. So hopefully that kind of data and information can transfer to the likes of Spencer Height. Looks like it's already starting to pay off for that number 35 Nitro kart, driving up and into the top 10. A great look for them as we go with 2 sessions now in the books here. K Masters complete and Micro Swift completed as well.
It's time for our next grouping of drivers to hit the track. It's time for the Pro Masters and Pro Super Masters Pre-Final, as these groups get onto the racetrack after some intense battling yesterday and some dramatic moments for some, including Jake Binder yesterday. We'll see how today goes for these classes. We're about to break down how they'll start. Scott Presti on the pole alongside Sketchy Barnes. Then it's Unigaro in third spot alongside Machiko. Machiko having a good practice session earlier this morning. Frank Runco in fifth position. Jack Benner in the sixth position. The next class led by Michael Rivera, and Morten Van Tok was very quick yesterday. Van Tok expecting to do the same today. We also have Sanchez, Danoff, Lane, Templeman, Cheek, and Gilbo. Hold on one moment. The 632 of Hernando Sanchez had something come apart back of a car. Able to get the kart fired up at least on his own power with whatever disconnected at the back end of the kart. But just about ready to go racing once again. We look to shift our way to the gears and from the tram lines with no issues. Once again, an interesting morning for racing, to say the very least, Xander. You have to say, in terms of what we've seen, in terms of the battling, as we get set to go racing here, it's going to be intense to see what happens up front. You have to think pretty soon.
Yeah, at some point, we're gonna wave this one off. No green on the first try by. Now, with a false start for any gearbox class, again, that was for the 632.
Yep.
I'm not sure if he'll be able to get his spot back. Usually, the code is the driver that is the cause of a false start and sending the field around again has to go to the rear.
Well, he was, remember, while we're on the pace lap, he was connecting a wire to the back end of his kart, something coming off from the back end in terms of the parts side of things that turned off the kart.
Could have been the plug wire. I had looked away for a moment here, so yeah, spark plug wire. So that's the wire going to the very top of the motor on the right side, right? That
yes.
It goes down in the boot, and that connection, if it loses spark, which is something that has happened here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, that massive bump on the driver's right-hand side coming out of the turn 8 complex at the end of the backstretch, turn number 9 basically. That massive, it's like a speed bump really, that goes across the circuit is enough to send a kart in the air, and then when it lands, it knocked off a few spark plug boots from the OKN and OKNJ drivers last season here. It looks like something similar, or just a curb hit or anything of the sort happened to him. Able to put the boot back on and then refire, and they're going to get the field back together again. So, Pro Masters, Pro Super Masters, split 30 and over for the Masters, 45 and over for the Super Masters. We're ready for pre-final action here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. The lights are on, and away we go with a great launch for Scott Presti with a definitive hole shot, and Matt Machiko, on the other hand, a struggle as he locks the fronts up and plows straight towards our camera guy down at turn number 1.
Yeah, got very squirrely, almost looked like tire spin a bit at the start too. Still able to make the slip on by to get that third spot immediately back. Well, this is wild. The benchmark from yesterday, Presti controls things up front. Going to be curious to see where the 612 ends up by the end of this one too, who's in that pack already up to the 4th position off a good start, up 2 positions. Coming around to end the first lap this time by already Presti running away with Barnes by upwards of 1.3 seconds, the gap to the second pack. A great start for your top 2. Presti, the Croc promotion machine, not the best point total after all on the average with what he was able to do in both the heat races. Now looking to withstand what's now turning into some heat on the racetrack as things have warmed up outside.
unlike yesterday's second heat race, this is at least a clean start for Skitchy Barnes. And last year's main event winner in Pro Masters seems to have gone to work overnight on that Vermont Kart Company Maranello USA entry. It looks sporty here at the end of lap number 2 compared to Scott Presti, who has had this field covered by a lot. Now, with, again, 12 minutes plus 2 laps, a little longer than the 2 heat races they ran on the day before. Presti maybe trying to gear himself for the long run, but also with how heavy these karts are, this is the heaviest, the 2 heaviest classes, heaviest overall run group by far of any other division. 400 pounds, I think, if not 395, but I believe they're at 410 for the minimum weight for the driver in kart. A good bit of that, obviously, is the machine itself, but being a bit bigger in size as fully grown adults for 30 and over and 45 and over, and maybe not driving as actively as some of our Pro Stars drivers. They give them a little bit more leeway room, a little more weight before they are overweight to race the division. And that means a lot of load to those MG tires. 400 pounds is a lot. And then you put these tires through 3 sessions of meat grinder already with qualifying and 2 heat races. They're going to be skidding around and sliding with the heat buildup and the lack of tread by the end of this pre-final. It'll be fun to watch. You can already see the back end's really squirrely here on the opening couple of laps. A lot of that probably due to low air pressure and cold rubber, but they're still going to be struggling for grip as the race goes on too.
And we're seeing that really build up. Up front, though, Barnes takes away the lead. Last year's winner in the Queen City Gambit in this class. Now getting crossed over, trying to squeeze Presti onto the curb. Some of these drivers not giving themselves too many breaks early on here. We'll see how Presti now handles things, knowing that Barnes is not afraid to shut the door and slam it shut when it comes to up front for the race lead. Still, though, Machiko is the one driver that I'm keeping an eye on in all this, too, to say the very least, Sander, because he last time was quicker than the leader and quicker than Presti. He's almost up to them to join the pack as there goes more tape being ripped off by Barnes to cool off that rad from the tape strips. Added a lot of tape to start things off, only 3 strips remaining on that lead kart. By the way, for those wondering, Rivera, should say, leading the Super Masters at the moment. Van Tonk is in second with the fastest lap in that class by half a second. The 568 is flying in the other class. At the moment, still halfway to go, more so in this race as things go on. But Barnes starting to set away a little bit up front. Half a second up. Machiko last time losing ground to the leader after gaining so much the previous 2 laps on his push. This is all going to be intriguing for if anybody is able to keep up with Skitchy Barnes. Barnes is outright flying as Presti is falling back on the average by a 10th. The problem is that's only a 10th of a second of fall off per se, but it's still seen him going the wrong direction in this race with what they're doing at the moment. 1.8 seconds back now for Machiko. To what happened to Hernando Sanchez with that recovery situation. Been able to recover some spots after having to start back to a round where he originally was set to start in the 9th position in the 632 kart. His issue for him there. About halfway through as we take a look at Jake Bitter is the 612. We're expecting with what he was able to do yesterday to cut his way up to the field. His comp kart has kind of plateaued in 4th position. It's not been able to find its way around Machiko. It's not been able to find its way to claw into the top 2. Not going in the right direction at all in terms of the speed balance that's needed there. Here's a look at the narrow battle, by the way. Rivera has now built a cushion with Gilbo between him and Van Tok. And now, some breathing space. Remember, the 568 reeled in Rivera earlier on in Heat 1 by 3 seconds to be able to come away with that class lead in the very end. This race, a little bit more smoother for Rivera. He did the same thing similar, in fact, in Heat 2, where he picked up the tempo second heat. Seems to be doing the same thing here today, where he's keeping the 568 at balance rather than right on his rear end, on that gearbox, on that rear bumper in that midst of the battle. Still 5 minutes to go in this race, mind you. Purple laps being set up at the very front of the field. Still keep an eye on this class where Rivera is just keeping consistency. That's been the key. Van Tok has been about raw speed in terms of his lap times. Looking at the curve for the 568 machine, he's gone from 43 flat to 42.6 to 41.9 to 43 flat. And all over the map when it comes to his tempo so far today. Now to the point where Sanchez is actually providing some pressure on him to get right on by in that situation. Speaking of trying to get right on by, 612 trying to find a way around Machiko. Zip by one of these stop carts on the side. Believe that might be quick third. How about a send to the inside?
There we go. Jake Fetter back up the board to third.
Yeah, charging up ahead, able to make that move. Now it's the question, can he get up to Presti now that he's set free from being behind Machiko? Only 4 minutes to do it, but still a decent amount of interval that he can close up in that span of time. He's already pulled away from Machiko by 5 kart lengths. That time by at the stripe. The interval 1.9 seconds he needs to get up to second here, Xander.
It might be doable for both of them to get to Scott Presti based on the laps last time by. I mean, Presti has faded tremendously hard, and I don't know what is so different about today that has made it such a struggle compared to yesterday, where he was just utterly dominant. There is seriously, it looks like, I mean, I don't know. You watch a driver have such a good day and dominant run through the heats, and then you kind of end up puzzled. And I'm sure he probably is too. He lost another half second to Skitchy Barnes that time by. Matt Machiko, Jake Fetter are both gaining on him. And for the reigning champ here in Matt Machiko and the Magic Kart USA squad, he's got a big support system, obviously. Gets to be teammates under the same camp as one of the best shifter kart drivers, one of the best karting drivers, period, in the U.S., and AJ Myers. And Magic Kart USA and Magic Kart overall owning the #1 plates in both of the gearbox divisions here at the Stars Championship Series. Robbie Boydeshow, co-team owner, along with Andrew and the family. Their dad, Chava Boydeshow, we've gotten to see him at the racetrack sporadically, but of course he's getting up there a little bit. Robbie is too. I don't know. Karting gives you a lot of gray hairs pretty early on. But the man they call Thor, we've gotten to see him put on some performances behind the wheel when he joins. Maybe he'll be able to have some fun with Matt Machiko later this year. Help break in that Quaker City Motorsports Park with the Magic Kart squad being based just a stone's throw down the road. The organization's technically from Ohio, but right near the Pennsylvania border. They've really helped build over the years and continue to fan the flames for what feels like a decade, possibly 2 decades now at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. And now to have both the Lorain, Ohio Kart Complex as well as the Quaker City Motorsports Park karting facility being added on, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great to be able to, I'm sure from their point of view, have 3 racetracks within a 2-hour radius. And it'll allow Matt Machiko to be able to head up that way if he wants to do any extra testing with the camp and develop that product and program just a little bit more. Jake Fetter has pulled away from him, though, here, and I think at this point for Matt, it's just kind of cruise control and ride where you go as we send it on down to Alex.
Thank you, Xander. Here with Robert Bajosto. Robbie, I mean, the team's been good overall this weekend. Give us a bit of insight on what it's been like under the tent for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we got guys, we have pretty strong in shifter master this weekend, Matt Machiko, Frank Rucco, obviously in K. We have Blog starting outside pulled in the pre-final along with Max Weiland. I mean, Okan's been really strong. I mean, across the board, the Magic Kart brand and the Sony Power has been really great. Obviously, the biggest thing is the guys we work with here. I mean, we've been working really hard back at the shop, and I think it's paying off this weekend. So I'm hoping that one of these guys will pull it off for me this weekend, whether it's AJ, Blog, I don't know who it is. I just want to come back with some trophies and something to talk about. So,
well, the next driver up here, Max Weiland. What have you been, Gabriel Blog and Max Weiland coming up here a little bit later in OKNJ as well. What have you been telling these young kids heading into this pre-final?
Obviously, get through turn one, right? It's important to get through turn one, get through that first opening lap, and then go racing from there. Blog has been consistently running more up front this year, and I think he's getting a lot more experience along with Max Weiland. So once you're up front, you got to just outrace these guys and be smarter. So I'm hoping that with some words of wisdom that we pull that off this weekend.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks, guys.
Good battle back for second. Scott Presti losing that spot to Jake Fetter. Matt Machiko now fourth, but with a shot maybe for third in the closing laps if he can get there. Jake Fetter getting back to the front row. Skitchy Barnes well out in front in a massive swing here in Pro and Rok Masters. But the Timmy Tech Comp Kart now will rejoin that front row after falling back a bit off the start. And for whatever the issue is for Scott Presti here, he's at least got 3 seconds to try and hang on for these final couple laps.
Got the track position back where it needs to be for later on today, and he's got the speed to where it needs to be compared to Barnes. I think the average pace is there, tempo is there to be able to keep up. It's just now going to be the matter of how the short run fares off the start with what's not been a great time off some of the starts. 6:12 today. White flag is out. Final time around for Barnes, though. Great start to the day for the racing card for him.
Yeah, you can't ask for anything more here on a Sunday morning. Skitchy Barnes took a bit to put it all together, get everything he needed. He's got it nice and easy now. Cruise into the finish and starting to just take care of those tires and make sure that he brings that 609 back around to the front straightaway. Last year, a head-to-head fight with his teammate Joe Rok. Joe, we miss you. We hope we get to see you later this year, and I'm sure Skitchy would love it as well. But for now, he'll take advantage of your absence, and he'll dominate in a year back from where he won in a head-to-head fight with a 4-second cushion at the end, but at one point built up to over 5 over everyone. Jake Fetter, Scott Presti, who's dominated at this point in the weekend, ends up third. Machiko and Unigaro, your top 5 as the rest of the field comes along. And how about it for Mike Rivera? What a run, and then the heartbreak of bailing out with a DNF midway through. He'll have to drive from the back of the field, and that promotes Morn Van Tok to the Pro Supermasters pre-final win over Lance Lane and Osley Cheek.
Fortunate to say the very least when it comes to Rivera. He was looking very solid before whatever happened to that car in the final few laps there for the 522. Tok getting in a great spot in the end, but now that moves us up in the order just like that. It is KA Junior Pre-Final A ready to go, and these drivers are ready to be intense around this track to say, where am I going to start amongst the top 30 later on today? Karts are on track now for KA Junior Pre-Final A. Remember the top 30 spots for the final being sorted out right here and now. That means these drivers are going to be fairly up on the wheel to see if they can sort out the front. Travis Pettit on the front row with Gabriel Belong. Forrest Adams row 2, John Antonino in 4th position. Nico Katowski will start in 5th with Renko Valera in 6th position. Tristan Murphy and Benim Abernathy in the top 8 as the field gets all sorted out and ready to go. All set to go, 30 karts deep. Green flag is out. We're underway for KA Junior. And it's not underway. The light is still yellow. It's a false start. And I think the field needs to get resorted here again. Here's a look at the rest of the starting order while we can. Nathan Goldset, Cole Maderos, Parker Ives, Derek Wargo, Ryan Mort, Emerson Lane, and it's Kalen Berghofer, Landon Boer, Edgar Rodriguez, and Max Weiland back in 18th position. Matchberg and Malcolm at the top 20 in the running order. So the top 20 on how they will start today after a false start situation. We retry this start. Field had been trying to scramble to get into the tram lines previously. Now this time, they are much slower heading that direction. There's a look at their direction to the tram lines. Told to slow down, slow down. Do we get the green? Looks like this time we do. Underway, 2 by 2 for much of the field to start things off. Oh, while Pettit holds on at the front of the field. Belong trying to keep up lockstep with him. Top 5 or 6 karts, single file. It's double wide to the back of the field. In fact, 3 wide to the very back of the field. At least 1 kart off into the grass and into the tire barrier for a split second. 871 having an excursion. That is Valentino Centillion having some issues in the back of the pack. The rest of the field makes its way through the course. Ascend to the inside. Oates Machine. That is Abernathy able to make a pass as the battles are on up front. Antonino on his charge early. Already able to make the move. Abernathy up about 3 spots from his initial starting grid slot in this one so far. First minute starting wild, but as to be expected, Antonino wanting to push hard early on. He wants track position. He wants to pounce for the race lead. Not willing to work with the others at the moment. Speaking of not willing to work with others, Forrest Adams able to bully his way up to the 3rd spot. Long getting shuffled quickly. In the second major grouping, trying to push hard at the moment in his kart. Right now, his Burrell Art in front of the TKG of Nico Katowski in the choo-choo train. Then it's an REM entry of Madero's where they are standing at the moment. Those karts all formed up outside of Madero's in a choo-choo train. Trying to line up with Murphy also, who's been able to charge through the field so far in the first couple laps. So all of this while they work around the racetrack. More sends to the inside, 826. Move up the inside, it's Goldsack on the pass. That gets him back inside the top 10, cross back over. No doing for the 892 machine on the pass attempt back. So early on in the race as they zip around the circuit. Pettit, by the way, holding on by half a second at the front of the field. Antonino trying to close up the gap last time by a 1/10 of a second. The rest of the field staying in the conga line. We go up front once again, where Adams stays up in the draft. Some of the others just trying to keep the rubber down and plant their karts rather down on the circuit. Or in front of Murphy at the moment after last time by. Murphy making a pass on Katowski. One thing to note about some of the drivers in terms of some of the shop fleet, Parker Ives early on got moved to the back of the field. He's -8 in 19th position for those keeping an eye on the 848 Kart in his start to the season. Not a great start for him all the way back. Into the top 20 with Malkiewicz back there as well. Front of the field right now compressing a little bit. Half a second the gap between first and second, down to 0.4 of a second this time as Antonino sets a personal best. In fact, the entire top 5 and 6 outside of Pettit set their personal best that time by in the race, including Valera setting the purple lap for the race, the fastest one so far. Balog thought about going on Adams to try and leapfrog. Elects not to go for it, stays in the line. Forrest Adams starting to lose a touch bit of ground right now as time progresses in this race, needing to catch up quickly. His experience in multiple different classes of racing action, mind you, as a race car driver, has been racing since the age of 5. Was the youngest driver to be selected to the Suma's International Motorsports Academy's Kid Kart Shootout back in the day. Early portions of his racing career. Experience ranging all across the nation when it comes to his racing accolades. Up front, Antonino is there. When does he go? When does he get the green light? That is the question. No, Antonino likes to lead. He wants to go now, makes it look easy, parks it in front of Pettit. Up to the front, Sean Antonino for MPG to the lead. A send back by Pettit into turns 1 and 2. And here comes Adams trying to send it to the outside. Had to back out of it for the single file in of 3 and 4 as they work through 5, 6, and 7. Antonino went for it, got the pass done at least for the lead lap, and now hand signals are up as he tries to get in a line. They all have seen Abernathy join back up, and Valera as well as a result. Balog takes advantage, doesn't lose any time on the leapfrog as he makes the move.
Already up to 6 deep, side by side, and they're going to stack up out of the corner. Here comes Pettit down to the inside, and we're going to start parking it. Blocking for the lead and a bump and run from Antonino. He didn't want any of that here. John Antonino sends Travis Pettit to the weeds right off the bat for blocking a bit early. I should say defending. Blocking is the reactionary move of going back and forth, but defending early in the race, that right there, it can really frustrate the drivers behind. And John Antonino, that was textbook about as good as you can do it. If you want to be able to move someone out of the way without deploying the pushback bumper from too much force, you have to already be attached to them basically before the brake zone. And I don't think it did any damage or deployed that bumper on the 893 at all. And what could have been a low line fest for the next 6 minutes plus 2 laps, Antonino said no dice. Now, will the officials let that slide? That's up to them. Travis Pettit has really gotten swallowed up since that moment because it pushed him into the marbles all the way into the run into turn number 3. He's fallen outside of the top 9. He's back to 10th, way back from the leaders, 3 seconds away. And of course, it's still not going to stop there because he needs a clean lap without anyone putting pressure on him to clean those tires off. But you can see Derek Wargo is right there putting the heat on in the 878. Looking for 10th away from Pettit now. Let's see if he gets it done in turn 10. He does. Oh, hop the curb as well, trying to go by. That's a lot of chaos going back there as we have a trade in the lead. Lourenco Varela from Brazil, side by side with John Antonino. Crossover move completes that, and now Antonino, he goes defensive in turn number 1. Live by the sword, die by the sword. If you're Lourenco Varela, Justin, and you saw what Antonino did, are you putting the bumper to him?
I don't know if I'd put the bumper to it and risk any damage at this point. Like, honestly,
I think that's just because you're such a nice guy, Justin. That is.
Well, do you like getting bumping around? This time, able to slip on by is Varela, no issue. Abernathy able to get on by. In fact, everybody's zipping on by Antonino in this choo-choo train. But to answer your question, I think almost in that situation, it was more so a push into almost kind of with the contact from behind scene in that situation. It was more so forced with how intense everything was up in that scenario. Now, hearing that Wargo also just had an incident that's put him into last on the grid. Unfortunate for Wargo.
I believe we may have something of an angle with the two of them. Travis Pettit, Derek Wargo, maybe, maybe not. It was all the way from this camera angle back here in the back corner. Probably not the best angle of the incident, but Derek Wargo and Travis Pettit colliding. We saw it get really dicey there for 10th at the back corner of the screen, while at the same time they were starting to trade the lead. And again, they're still racing all across this racetrack. It's tough to be able to manage it all. The only saving grace here for Derek Wargo and Travis Pettit is that they're both still going to get to race in the main event today, because this is the A pre-final. This is spots 1 through 30. So while it's a bummer they're going to have to start back potentially as far as row 15, they are going to be on one of the 20 rows. That'll be for this Sunday final from the Queen City Gambit and K Jr. Great back and forth action still here with just under 3 minutes and 2 laps to go. Benham Abernathy, Nico Kotowski, Forrest Adams, again back and forth. This time Adams is able to follow suit. Tristan Murphy lurking on. Great run in the works, by the way, for Indy Anderson. It's been a year that seems to have the number 888 running a little higher than where last year was. This is an improvement for him. Nico Kotowski as well. TKG, Beryl Art. He is one of the only drivers running with them. He scored, I believe, a podium in one of the mains 2 weeks ago. He has progressed under the tutelage of that entire group, and of course him and his brother getting coached regularly with Diego Ramos. They built a great relationship with one of the major stars of our sport, and it is starting to really pay some dividends here. 4th right now on the racetrack. On the other end here, a heartbreaker for Travis Pettit. At one point leading this race, got moved out of the lead by John Antonino, fell back to around 9th or 10th, then fighting for 10th and 11th with Derek Wargo, collides again. He's going to get scored all the way in dead last. The only DNF so far is the 829, 30th provisionally for Travis Pettit, while John Antonino is still going to get a shot at this race win. He trails Gabriel Balog, and all the while, Lourenco Varela leads the way for PSL Karting. What a surprise win it could be for Lourenco here and that group. They had some good runs in the winter. Oh, there's a look at it, yep. And I think that might have been right when we cut from them, where Wargo was going back down the inside, and it looked like right before those two ended up on top of each other that Derek had to hit the inside curbing at turn 10, and it washed him out. And then once these tires make contact, not only do they have a lot of grip and are like glue, but you can imagine, I like to compare it to the Hot Wheels slingshots as a kid. 2 tires at different speeds, catch each other, boom, into the air.
And now that's seen Pettit's race completely disintegrate to dead last after starting this one on the pole. What a swing. But here comes Antonino. He swings back to the race lead. Looking like 3 laps to go when they come to the stripe. All of this is kicking off with Flora once again trying to move up. Now what's the question? Can anyone get back to Antonino, or are they going to spend too much time battling for second like Balog wants to do?
Oh man, this is going to be fun to watch here. Timer's going to hit 0 before it's over. Do they trust Gabriel Balog to lead them back up to John Antonino? 3.5 tenths back before he made the pass. Probably mark it at 4 or 5 tenths. No defending yet from Balog. Varela is still pushing him along, and in Lourenco's case, he knows that he probably doesn't have to worry too much working so closely with Nico Kotowski in the alliance between TKG Beryl Art USA and PSL Karting. So if he's confident that he won't get dive bombed for pushing or being a little more conservative and patient, maybe he'll give Gabriel Balog the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, you tracked me down just like John did. Maybe if I push you for a lap, you can lead us back to him. Here's the gap from the line. John Antonino Jr. just under half a second ahead of Gabriel Balog. We'll keep tabs on it when they come back around to the stripe if it gets any closer. Kotowski and Tristan Murphy still hanging in there back in 5th, 6th and 7th, about a second away.
They are starting to see a bit of squabbling still again. Murphy able to leapfrog another spot on Kotowski. Time for Balog to chip away at the gap. Last time by, he was about dead even with Antonino. Now with the white flag waving this time around, it's the question, can he find more? He was 2/10 quicker that time by. I don't know if it's going to be enough. He needs to close up 4 kart lanes. It's not going to be enough with what they're doing unless they fly.
I don't know. That was 2/10 last lap. The draft will accelerate as they get closer. Don't count them out yet. We've seen crazier moments here. Justin in the last corner. Here comes Balog with a big run to the bumper into turn number 10. He'll get right to the back of the 893. It's all going to come down to the wire. Last turn, turn 14. Balog low with a big shove from Varela. It sends him into Antonino. They're going to come out of the corner side by side. Banging tires to the line. Balog steals it. Gabriel Balog by 14 thousandths of a second. Antonino, Murphy, Lorenko Varela, the top 4. Nico Katowski 5th. Benham Abernathy 6th. What a finish to the line. Antonino parked it, but Lorenko Varela, we had a great angle there on the side. At the stripe, 14 thousandths of a second. The margin of victory here between Gabriel Balog and John Antonino Jr. after Antonino worked his tail off to get back to the lead. Live by the sword, die by the sword a little bit there, but nonetheless, we go down to the scale lines. Alexander Searle will catch up with the end of it. Your pre-final A probably going to go under a bit of scrutiny for some contact and some close racing, but you'll have that when you have so many talented drivers racing close at the front of the field.
Gabriel Balog, what a final lap there for you and the Magic Kart team. How'd you go out there and get it done?
I don't know. I didn't really have a plan to start with. I just kind of went with the flow, and whatever happened, happened.
So tell me, in situations like that, right, where Antonino gets around you, he starts to pull away slightly, what's kind of going through your mind those last couple of laps?
I'm just trying to not overdrive, not make mistakes, not focus on the people behind me, but instead of focusing on the people behind me, focus on catching Antonino and putting some good laps in to do so.
All right, so now with a pre-final win, in your back pocket, you go into the main event. How confident are you that you can go out there and, repeat this result?
I'm pretty confident, but anything can happen, and I'll just go with the flow again.
All right, thanks, Gabriel.
Yep, thank you.
Look to the replay at the drag race brought to you by Shop AKR. Balog able to pip Antonino at the stripe in the last race. An eventful one once again to close things out in that one. We'll see if things continue on in the intensity, or at least the same intensity level, should say. For our next group, it is Swift Stars. Coming up, Swift Stars Pre Final. Coming up now on the racetrack. 30 karts yet again ready to do battle. About to find out. It'll start here today. Maxwell Macha on the pole. DeGennaro in second. Mose and Francisco are number 2. Wolf and Orioli the top 6. Allo will start in 7th. Percival in 8th position. Myers and Johnson, the top 10 here today. Rok in the 11th spot alongside Daniel Guerra. Dominic Gaddis in 13th. Lawrence Perriman back in 14th. Thigpen in Kache in the 16th spot, Gilbaldi in 17th, Klein back at 18th. Scales and Sears, your top 20 starters here in this field. Press the starter scroll on your screen. What is a deep field of drivers? Looks like we're almost set to go. So they get the command to slow down. Did they get the green? Looks like they will race. And looks like they will crash. At least one driver into the tire barrier. The rest of the field tries to get back going. That's the 110 that hit the barrier. 132 having issues getting fired back up. That's Simon Klein. Their spin in turn 3. That's the 126 that's now gone around in some chaos that's built up on the opening lap. All while the leaders try and settle things out up front. So far, a good start for your front pack.
Maxwell Mancha getting away. The top 4 really with a big breakaway here with the way this first lap's shaken out. But not ideal to start things here for the Micros in their pre-final. All of them will be going through to the main, so just a standard pre-final for these young superstars. 12 minutes plus 2 laps. 4-driver break up front. Orioli losing the 5th spot now. Move Cade Wolf and the Roto-Rooter Timmy Tech Comp Kart to the lead of that group. He's always fast when we come to Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's had some great runs here in Concord, North Carolina. But this weekend, a qualifying effort that was a little less than ideal has put him on the back foot. Thankfully, they're racing up front, and he's marched his way already to 5th now. Macha back around to the lead. De Janeiro back to 3rd after he took over the top spot a moment ago. And this time, falling back, one additional with Jaden Francisco following suit to go to 2nd on the Ryan Perry Motorsport Nitro. Nicholas Mose, tail end of the 4-car pack. As we come to the line, it'll be another lead change. Francisco to the lead down in turn 1.
Slim Habit at that point said, you know what, you want it so early, I'll get it back later on, it looks like. De Janeiro able to just fall in, no issue at the moment. Seeing these drivers look a little bit tight early on in this grouping at least, but Francisco seems very fluid on his movements, able to get some good rotation, not pushing wide on corner exits so far up at the front of that field. So, under 10 minutes to work with on this clock. How long will that last is the huge question mark on many people's minds potentially here. Cisco just keeping things at check right now. So like in the backdrop, just keeping an eye and seeing where De Janeiro is without overly exerting himself and without making himself vulnerable to mistakes. De Janeiro, good corner exit for the back straightaway. Looks like he's content on just riding this time rather than pushing for a pass at the moment. Looking around the track as things continue on. Macha, he's not patient right now. He wants to go places, and Francisco knows it. De Janeiro going places that time on the pass. Now, he's going to have to deal with the send by Macha. Macha up the inside, makes the pass, no problem. Up to the race lead on the slip on through. Under 9 minutes to work with. De Janeiro trying to go for a pass in an area, not expecting it. Back and forth we go. De Janeiro now went for a scissor block for a split second to the inside. Now Macha trying to get wheeled back up for another pass attempt, but Francisco has to deal with a send from Mose. Mose goes up the inside for good measure. Back and forth we go as Francisco sends it back up the inside for the 3rd spot. Slips on by, and now they've lost a bit of ground amongst the 3rd and 4th place carts. Wolf is also closing in on these fighters as they progressed last time by. Wolf closed in on the battlers by half a second to try and join in on that 3rd on back group. Macha, no battling at the moment, just staying in the line and working together this time, as Francisco does the same for now. De Janeiro continuing on up front. Maxwell Macha, we've seen a lot of battling from Macha throughout this entire weekend. Talked about some experience micro champion back in 2023, racing in the SCUSA Pro Tour. Also raced in Rock Vegas. You have Supernats experience as well over the years. Races a lot, various classes. He's made some big moves too that made the highlight reels and Kart Chaser kids over the weekend so far. What he's been able to do in that 174 kart for Velocity Racing. Looking for some velocity to find his way back up in front with 7 minutes to work with on the clock.
Former European factory driver, a former Supernats champion as well, and Marco Mastronzi, the Paralin USA official driver coach. We've seen him behind the wheel in KA Stars action, helping develop their single-speed, full-size package over the years. Spends most of the time over in the data and video room with Ben Cruttenden and that camp, and he has been very happy with the progress of his young superstar in the making in Enzo De Janeiro. Already a ton of wins and accolades on the 2025 season. As he leads down the backstretch now, these three drivers here could very well be the story of the Mini Swift class, the Swift Stars class for the season. Who else can assert themselves to join that group? How about a run from the back based off of qualifying and marching up the board? Danny O'Gara up to a 10th now from 11th off the grid. Mauro Norio right behind him, between him and Holden Myers from 26th for Mauro. He's in that next group back from this pack. Cameron Johnson's also been slowly getting closer to the podium and the top five. He trails in this duo we're watching here with the 145 of Luca Becquerel just ahead of him.
Yeah, Becquerel so far looking pretty solid. Just consistently keep himself in that conversation right now, but it's going to be the matter of, you see some of the looks back over the shoulder. He hears the engine of Johnson just riding that back in. Up front, Mancha makes a Mancha move to the inside, up to the race lead. Coming up to 5 minutes to go. Crossover back for De Janeiro. He got the preferred line for the second to last quarter, opening the door for Francisco. Mancha late arcs Francisco to move him back out of the way to hold on the second.
Still with a lot of racing left here. This three-pack may trade the lead a little bit, but there hasn't been much movement yet. About a half-second gap between the middle packs in the top 10, but it's stabilized enough. Let's go down to pit lane while the KA Stars are getting ready to go here. Alex?
Thanks, Xander. Peyton, haven't spoke to you much this weekend. I'd say didn't start off so good. You've made amends for it. How have you guys kind of progressed throughout the weekend?
Yeah, like we only did a couple of practice sessions on Friday, and we were really quick. So to get DQ'd and happy I was not the greatest, but we've made up for it in the heats. We've been fast. Yeah, I think we have a chance at the win. Just have to play our cards right in this.
You're an experienced guy in KA, but this track obviously it's a little bit different, right? The minimum speeds are slightly higher. How do you kind of navigate the KA class around this place?
Well, it's not as fun as the OK in his last year. I enjoyed that, but the K is just about keeping the toe. Don't make as many mistakes. You can get away with it in the draft here, but just nice and consistent. Stay off the brake as much as possible, and yeah, that's pretty much it around here.
Haven't had a chance to ask many drivers this weekend, but the marbles build up quite quickly around this place. Has it played a factor for you guys in terms of getting around drivers?
Yeah, it looks like they built up quite a bit, but when you actually go offline, it's not really that bad. Like on the last lap when Hodgson passed me, I thought I was going to be done by someone else, but no, I could get back down and keep it under control and all that. So that's a bit surprising.
Thanks, Peyton.
Thank you.
Interesting to hear that bit of intel that, maybe it's not as treacherous as the cameras may look here. We've seen plenty of offline issues at some of the higher speed corners. A couple drivers going off here at the end of this back straightaway, but the Mini Swift's drivers are running nicely here. Lots of back and forth in this group. Now to the front of it, Jake Manalio. New colors for 2025 for Jake in the 191. The Nitro kart now is up to 5th. Ahead of that Timmy Tech Roto-Rooter comp kart of Cade Wolf, who has now come under pressure. Actually, that's 4th now for Manalio. You saw Grayson Powers not happy. He tried to make the pass there. Is going to lose 2, maybe more, as the rest of the field bears down on him here with just under 3 minutes plus 2 laps to go.
You didn't like having to go on the curbing, it looks like, in that situation, and now it's put him up for grabs for everybody else, seeing the situation involving a bit of contact now in that pack. As Now the send to the inside. 145. That gets him kicked back a couple more spots as a result. 167 moves up. Danny O'Gara continues his progression up through this pack. Now moves ahead as you see the rest of the drivers settle on in. Only 2 minutes to go in this session. In terms of this race, plus the 2 laps, as time ticks away here.
Yeah, just 2 minutes to go now here in this one, plus 2 laps. Watching 5th, 6th, and 7th try to hunt back down Jake Manolio. The Nitro karts are rolling good right now. Jaden Francisco and Manolio, 2 of the top 5 spots held. They're going to get some more breathing room to hold that stat line as Santi Orioli takes over 5th from Cade Wolf. Cameron Johnson right behind. Passed there by the 147. Mauro Nario going by on the Bennick. Oh, side by side. Mauro's going to lose his spot. He'll over under. And a change and a challenge to the line. Here's Danny O'Gara trying to find a hole. Keep marching that 167 up the leaderboard here with 1:10 to go, plus 2 laps.
Danny O'Gara having a really good drive here in terms of his pace and what he's been able to do. But up front, it's now a 2-kart race. Mancha's lost ground. It's now down to DeGennaro. It's down to Francisco. 2/10 last time by was the gap at the line. Francisco last time gained about a 10th plus on the race leader. It's going to be important for him to try and keep that going, keep chipping away. If he does that, he can be there for one more chance. This time by, he lost a couple hundredths compared to the race leader.
Yeah, this is where the nitty-gritty really comes in. How good and consistent can you be at the very end? It all comes down to, again, that last bit of consistency, those last couple laps, so crucial of a long run. But defending like this will begin to kick things off. The 2 drivers that went head-to-head, mano-a-mano, both days 2 weeks ago are going at it again. Jaden Francisco, Enzo DeGennaro. Enzo's covering the low side off. This should be 2 laps to go when they hit back at the timing loop. Last time by to Maxwell Macha, the gap was 1.3 seconds. It's going to come down tremendously this time with an around the outside pass by Jaden. Big time move for the kid in the pink helmet as he takes over the lead, and the gap now down to less than a second. 0.849 the gap for Maxwell Macha up to P2 Enzo DeGennaro, and only 7.5 tenths. To DeGennaro, 8.5 back from the lead.
Our check back for Francisco. He's been in this spot a couple times this race. DeGennaro's immediately been able to draft on back and set things up for some moves in the field. Here he goes again, able to get the cut to the inside, taking away the point once more. And now Francisco trying to set up an arc to try and go for a diamond line, see if he can set up a momentous move back to the bumper. 1 lap to go, final time around, side by side at a 1 and 2. Francisco trying to cut onside. Now looking for a cut through 3, 4, and 5. Trying to set up one more opportunity for the final sectors. All sorts of pressure for the back straightaway. He's there. He's got the momentum to the outside.
Look at the gap last time by the timing loop. It was just at 8 tenths. It's going to come all the way down to the wire, and Macha's going to get a chance to play spoiler. Francisco knows it. He's keeping tabs on him. He knows he can open up for turn 10, but DeGennaro blocks it enough, and it allowed Macha to get through. I thought he was going to be okay, and he did too. But the 174 has gotten past. And now, Enzo's going to be safe to the end. It'll be Francisco versus Macha for P2. DeGennaro wins the pre-final. Macha steals second. Francisco third. Jake Manolio fourth. And look at the runs to the line here in the top 10. Shaking it up. Mauro Nario, Nick Mose, Cameron Johnson, Cade Wolf, and Danny O'Gara. Rounding off your top 10 here in the Swift Stars pre-final.
Nicely done by DeGennaro to be able to fend off the challengers, but that battle for second was what really sealed the deal with how much time was lost by Macha Francisco with that side-by-side in that situation. Why don't we take a step aside? More action coming up. The Swift Stars putting on a show here in their pre-final.
ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
A pre-final action set for KA Stars. Let's go down and check it out here. Jared Clark ready to lead your field to green for the 30 drivers that have automatically punched their ticket into the main alongside Racing Edge Motorsports' own Oliver Marak. Henry Taylor starts on the inside of row number 2 in the 3rd spot. Behind him, of course, Hudson Brown in that gold cart. On the outside of row 2, though, it'll be the Macron Motorsports Comp Cart. Former Miami International Final champion, one of the most decorated British karting drivers, Oliver Hodgson from spot number 4. Back on row number 4 itself, rolling from the 7th spot. There you have Sam Mavrutsky in that AEM Karting EOS cart. And right behind him, another one of those Fox & Son entries there, David Baker in the 923. Peyton Phillips rolls from 6th there on the outside of that 3rd row. And as the engines come to life, we get ready for more action here. KA Stars, 30 drivers that have already secured themselves a starting spot where they will start from positions 1 through 30. Well, that's going to be decided over the next 12 minutes and 2 laps here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the last of the undercard divisions. It's the last of the sessions on the timetable for a short break in the action. And then we'll be moving on into the B pre-finals for KA Junior and KA Stars. So we've watched the A pre-final for KA Junior, the B pre-final. Next up to decide who gets to join the rest of the field in the A main. They get a slightly shorter race there with the top 10 transferring on through. Here's a full look at that lineup here in your starting grid. We touched on those first couple rows here with Hudson Brown and Peyton Phillips closing that off at row 3. Sam Mavrutsky and Ryan Crouch on row 4. David Baker's Fox & Son LN cart alongside Franklin Motorsports' own Cash Perkins rounding off your top 10, Justin.
They have Enzo Vinimonti in the 11th position, Albay in 12th position. TJ Coyan will start at 13th with Frederick Manning in 14th spot. Josh Campbell in 15th with Davin Roberts in 16th. Alex Murray alongside Drew James. Then Ibrahim Dean in 19th. Justin Music all the way back in 20th position. We know that 952's got speed with what we've seen amongst those first 10 rows. These carts are all set to go, though. It's just about time to go racing.
Here we are, pre-final A, KA Stars. Green flag in the air, and looks like a good start through turns 1 and 2 for everyone. Couple way wide. Justin Music, one of them, high up and into the marbles there on the banks in turns 1 and 2. But a clean getaway for the inside lane gives Jared Clark and Henry Taylor the early lead as they roll through the infield chicane and head towards the back straightaway. All good for the full grid down the back And side-by-side action here, 2 and even 3 wide there towards the back end of it with Lucas Szabo. It looked like on the bottom in the RPM Tony Kart. Yesterday, though, Jared Clark head and shoulders above the field in his group on the odd number drivers. He was well quicker than most as Oliver Hodgson gets by Oliver Marak for P3 to the line. 1 lap down, plenty more to go. Oh no, big contact down in turn 1 as a number of drivers go wide, and Ryan Crouch pounds the wall right in front of the field. And 1 more way off. Peyton Phillips and the Arcane Tony Kart comes to a halt at the outside at turn number 2.
Phillips had been so confident about his chances. The 955 now rolling off, and Crouch to join him in that spot. Now it's going to be about the top 2 and how they settle on down. Clark trying to set the tone, keep in front. Henry Taylor has been able to keep along behind him with how things are looking. Those two trying to make it just a 2-car breakaway as Taylor inside race lead.
Smart move in Henry Taylor's case. If you watched any of those heats yesterday, you knew that if you gave Jared Clark an opportunity to drive away, he was more than likely going to be able to do it even from you. So he's gone to the point, and that's allowed Oliver Hodgson, along with Oliver Marak, to close the gap just ever so slightly. And Clark trying to go to the lead, and he goes off, way off at the end of the backstretch, all the way bouncing through the dirt. And the top qualifier finds himself lower than he's been all weekend. P4 now for the 916. Hodgson and Marak able to get through.
Able to squeak on by in a close one once again. Still under 10 minutes to work with on the clock. And now Clark is going to have to face some adversity for the first time all weekend now. Has to find his way around a bunch of karts. If he wants any true chance, here's a look at the Shop AKR replay. Hard contact almost over top the shoulder of the driver in front.
Yeah, and then everyone just kind of got wide there into turn 1, trying to avoid the airborne Hudson Brown. Enzo Vidmontien, while live on screen as well, with a problem, but Brown did actually hit Peyton Phillips in the head with his right rear tire. Hopefully Peyton's okay. I'm sure that one did not feel good. And then this moment as well in the opening couple laps. Clark trying to take the lead, hit what looked like and probably felt like a patch of ice. Just 4-wheel skid, out of control off the racetrack. And again off as well for Enzo Vidmontien and the SLA Kart Racing Kart Republic. He'll drop to the bottom of the pylon. But while that's happened, Oliver Hodgson and Oliver Marak have tracked down Henry Taylor for the race lead. It's a 4-car break here, and for the first time all weekend, we can really say the KA Stars class is starting to have multiple contenders for the main event win today. Here's Marak going down the inside on Hodgson. He takes over second. Clark able to follow. In the background, looming David Baker with the best he's run so far this weekend. P5 for him. Cash Perkins into 6th as well, but David Baker on that Fox & Son karting team, loving it and loving more of the contact. And Clark, Jared Clark goes up and onto the left rear tire on Oliver Marak. A mistake there as he once again lost traction, lost grip under braking going into a corner, this time at turn 1. And he and Oliver Marak collide. It's going to buy Henry Taylor a lot of real estate now. Well, I thought it would. Oliver Hodgson navigated that perfectly. Oh, indeed, yes, he did. Henry Taylor, big lead. Marak still able to stay ahead of Oliver Hodgson, but David Baker now able to move up to 4th through the chaos. Jared Clark back and into the 5th position. The BJRLN kart struggling here in the opening stages. It's a long pre-final. What he needs to do now is settle back in, take a deep breath, and realize that he still has a very fast go-kart, even with maybe some damage from getting airborne off the back bumper of Oliver Marak's REM Cosmic. He can still make this happen. He's just got to clean it up, clean those tires back off, reset, cool them down, and start to pick the field apart. They're spread out now up front for the first time here in this race. A 1.3 second lead for Henry Taylor, back to these two.
Yes, indeed. Already pushing ahead. Clark able to make the pass to the inside. Zip right on by Baker yet again. He's not going to want to spend too much time diddle-daddling in terms of timing. Looking like 1.3 seconds down to 1 second. Marak having a really good second half to this race, set up at least for a good second half is the rather a good phrasing. After losing a lot of ground earlier on, Marak showing why he swept his races on his side of the card compared to some of the others.
Down the back straightaway, Oliver Merak trying to close that gap in with a 3/10 swing last lap. Can he do any more damage here this lap? Well, Jared Clark was the star of the A pre-final section. Oliver Merak was the star of the B group, the even-numbered qualifiers. He hasn't gotten to go toe-to-toe with Clark yet. He hasn't gotten to go toe-to-toe with some of the other superstars in this group, like Oliver Hodgson behind him. Now, a real metal meets the road type of, rubber meets the road type of moment for Oliver Merak. And he is well proven that the B group is just as strong as the A group, pulling away from that McCrone Motorsports comp cart behind him. And another 10th was lopped off last time by. Still plenty of racing action left here in this pre-final. He can make up that gap at this rate, because once he gets down to within 7 or 8 tenths, it will accelerate as he gets closer and closer to the back bumper and closer to the hole punched in the air by Henry Taylor's comp cart.
Just has to follow on the tire tracks, let the carts in front guide him forward. It is all you can really say at this point, with under 6 minutes to go, plus the 2 laps to work with. Last time by, new fastest lap was set by Clark. It was 3/10 quicker than your leader.
Let's go down the pit lane here. Jared Clark now closing in on the fight for third. His team owner, Brandon Jarsakrak, standing by.
Thanks, Xander. Brandon, I just want to ask one question here. What do you tell a young driver like Jared Clark, who's emerged as a star here in the situation in a race like this, where he's kind of made some mistakes early on?
Yeah, I just got to tell him to calm down a little bit. He's getting a little over anxious. Made a few mistakes that set him back. I mean, obviously our equipment's really fast. He's already passed just now for third. He's going to catch up to the leader again. The equipment's plenty fast, so if you get set back, just need to calm down and you'll make your way back to the front.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you.
Calm, cool, and collected team owner, rooting on his driver right now. He's got a lot in the field. Frederick Manning just making up a spot and then falling back there to 21st, but there's a few other BJR carts inside the top 20. Josh Campbell, 16th currently right now. For Jared Clark, the gap being made up for him to Oliver Merak. Last time by, just under 6 tenths between second and third. You can see as well about 6 tenths to the lead. It's all closing back together here. And as well, keep a tab on Hudson Brown and that gold cart back in 7th. He's closing in on Cash Perkins and David Baker. So a fight looming for P5. Here's a middle of the pack kind of fight. Davin Roberts, Chase Buscalia. Looks to be Zach Frank right there in the 980, as well as TJ Coyen just ahead of them. This is just outside your top 10 and just inside of it. Coyen with a best run on the best cart so far here in the development of that package and that program. 9th on the circuit, trying to make himself once again known to all these young kids. It wasn't just a couple of seasons ago TJ Coyen was winning at the highest level here in KA 100 competition, and it's been a humbling experience, I can only imagine, bringing that go-kart from the back, from out of the factory, and to the front of the grid. And this is going to get him a little closer as they fight harder here for 5th, 6th, and 7th. David Baker drove Hudson Brown down to the grass there.
Yeah, not want to give that spot, obviously, with that squeeze. Just getting a little bit more touch and go on some of these maneuvers right now. All this as well. Once again, battle for second is on. Clark is there. Clark just looking to wind things up. Another fastest lap of the race. Last time by, he's within a couple tenths, already right up to the rear bumper just about, to try and position himself here to see if he can get a lunge up the inside for a move.
He's close, very close, but so is Oliver Merak to Henry Taylor, who has been quietly out in front. Last time by, just under 4 tenths of a second. Slowly losing that lead that he's worked so hard to build. And as he takes a look over the shoulder, the purple and chrome is bigger than what it was a lap ago. Last time by, 4 tenths. If Jared Clark stays patient for a lap or two, it will get closer, but he just kind of got into the back of Merak there, and Oliver went up on 2 tires. And in Clark's case here, it is a touch and go type of situation. He's got to be very careful of if he wants to get by Oliver before Merak can get to Henry Taylor. You can see Merak is struggling now. Really had to put some wheel in it in the middle of 1 and 2. It even backed up and caught Clark off guard, knocked him sideways off the back bumper. Henry Taylor's lead now up to just under 6 tenths. with 1.5 minutes to go. It's still possible, though.
Still possible, but it's going to require them to really push the next couple laps to get right into range of Taylor. Going to close up to the rear end, and right now, all it's going to take is one battle for someone like Clark to completely throw things out the window. Right now, Clark seems to be, despite the fast laps, hitting a brick wall of momentum. That time by, they all lost time by a couple 1,000ths to Taylor on the speed.
Problems for Luke Welcome, the Rocket Racing Company driver, into the pit lane here down at the bottom corner of your screen. Alex.
Yeah, guys, Luke Welcome coming out of turn number 8, blew a motor and made a heads-up move to just pull into the pit lane last minute. But unfortunate for him, at least he has a guaranteed spot, though, in the main.
Another engine failure here. This is one of the first ones we've heard of in the K Stars class. A bummer for Luke Welcome on a weekend that hasn't quite materialized to put him in our spotlight. But it is right now filled by these three in full. Henry Taylor's lead back down to 4/10. Clark back to the bumper of Oliver Merak. At this point in the race here, knowing what he knows, I would think you want to go, but then again, Oliver Merak puts together a really good sector like that. He's probably better through turns 3 and 4 than all three of those drivers up front. And so in that case, then, oh, big mistake out of the leader. First mistake all race for Henry Taylor. He's slowing. Taylor struggling to turn the go-kart there. He went off, dropped the tire, no grip into the corner, and he is fading fast. Now Clark takes his opportunity, overshoots it. Merak back to the lead. It's a heads-up fight for the win. 2 to go at the line. What has happened to Henry Taylor as Merak covers low?
Taylor now under grasp for Hodgson as well. This has opened up the door, and now Clark no longer saving, no longer just waiting. Now we can go into full charge mode, trying to arc those corners. The setup of the back straightaway. Merak all the way nearly to the blue line, trying to defend. Puts him up for grabs for an easy crossover.
Textbook right there out of the 916. Now he has to make sure not to make the same mistake that Merak just did, that he capitalized on. Coming to the white flag this time. Oliver Hodgson licking his chops back there in third. Jared Clark to the lead. Defended a little bit in the last corner. He's going to have to cover off in turn 1 now. 1 lap to go. All the way on the dirty side of the racetrack. Blocking low. He's going to wash out. And Merak takes advantage. They're still side by side at 3. Clark hangs on. Here comes Hodgson. He'll get right to the bumper of Merak now. Henry Taylor gets new life as well, as Clark is all across the racetrack trying to make that BJR cart nice and wide. Down the backstretch, 4 carts, throw a blanket over him as Clark now is the one to go low. Can he hang on to it? No, he goes wide. Here comes Merak. Hodgson as well is lined up, but Clark gets the momentum back in turn 9. He retakes the lead in 10. Up the hill for the final time. Through the S's. Jared Clark, Oliver Merak, Oliver Hodgson, Henry Taylor, wide again for Clark. Is he going to get away with it? I think he will, and Hodgson is going to steal second at the line.
But it's Clark that's going to end up holding on for the race win. Able to charge in the late stages yet again with everything that opened up. Merak, after getting back up to the race lead with what happened to Taylor, doesn't even get the chance to finish on the podium in the pre-final for the A class. For the A grouping, should say. Results on screen: Clark, Hodgson, Taylor, Merak, the top 4. Hudson Brown finished in the next pack in 5th over Cash Perkins. David Baker falling back to 7th. Machado, Frank Scalia in the top 10. Scalia, decent drive after his repair situation. What a race there, Xander, is what you can say.
Nothing left to add on to that besides what a race. That's a great way to cap it off here with our A pre-final action. Jared Clark, it wasn't maybe a dominant run. It had a few moments, but he ends up as your pre-final winner here with a lot to break down. Hudson Brown, a great recovery drive to get back to 5th after the contact with Peyton Phillips.
I don't think you're right like that. I mean, if you didn't see me, I got you. But be more aware. Yeah, you're good. You said I talked to him. Yeah.
track action. Oliver, you were in that front group for the whole race, right? What happened on that final lap to lose a couple spots there?
I think, I tried to catch the guy. He ended up making a mistake. I got to the lead, and, I made a big defend mistake over there. And, he passed me, and then I knew Hodgson was behind me, so I went to the inside in the last corner, and I just got crossed, so.
How do you kind of strategize the KA class around this place? Because it seems like if you go low to defend, you're in the marbles, you get crossed up. I mean, what's kind of going through your mind in those situations when you're in a group of 4 drivers?
Just trying to find where their weakest spots are, so I could pass them, and defending properly, being aware. Yeah.
Thanks, Oliver.
Thanks.
Oliver Marak with a quick probably bit of disappointment on the way that one went out, but ultimately he still will line up provisionally in 3rd. We'll take another break. That's the first 30 spots set for KA Stars. We still have 10 more positions to award, and they're going to come from the B pre-finals. The same for KA Junior, and the juniors are up next. Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Our next lineup already on the racetrack. It's time for our next pre-final. It is KA Junior B for the pre-final. Easton Kabinski ready to lead this field of green over Matthew Landers in this pack. Weberman, Lewis, Mars, Barbie in the monster top 6. Then you have Jarquin and Green in the top 8 positions. Noel and Mustafa in the top 10. All set to go. Here we go.
Green flag in the air, and it's got one card slowing off to the wayside. Already a little bit of action here to kick things off in the B pre-final. Again, that cut line going to be 10th place as to where you need to be by the end of it to get your spot in the main. All results provisional, so keep that in mind. It also is a little bit shorter of a pre-main as well. 8 minutes plus 2 laps, same distance as the heat races. 12 minutes plus 2 means a few more laps on the tires for the 8 pre-final drivers, but these ones have to work their way past them if they make it through this. We can see obviously 1, maybe 2 pushbacks deployed already. That looks to be maybe on the 827 or 877 just up there. As, oh, that was a big send and a half there from the, might have been the 810 of Ahmed Mustafa. Let's see how the times all shake out here. First time by the line, Kubinski leads the way, a former Swift Stars winner. In his first KA junior season, having to fight his way out of the Hornets' nest here in the B pre-final. Following along there with the 845, it looked like, of Harquin. Peter Harquin there in 9th, right near the bubble spot. Behind him is the fight for the transfer. There's Isaac Payne down the inside on the BJRLN card, and a little bit of contact, and all off the racetrack for Ahmed Mustafa's REM Cosmic.
Not going to be happy a bit about that contact there to push him out of the conversation just like that. All right, some more contact. These drivers are getting very chippy and aggressive, knowing their day can be done if they don't get the 10th spot. Some of these drivers are getting very aggressive with some of their sends right now, almost too aggressive. That sent some of these drivers right to the back of the pack.
Indeed, quite a few getting shuffled out there here now. So already a bummer for Ahmed Mustafa. He falls outside, but it's not over. With a long enough pre-final, you can get back forward, or you can just march from further back and go forward the whole way, like Isaac Payne is doing right now on his BJRLN kart, moving the chains and continuing to fight here as the field rockets around towards turn 14 and down the front stretch for another lap in the books. This time, that's a move there by the 832. For the transfer spot, or right outside of it, William Vitor on the JHDD Kart Republic. His first junior start on the national tour. 2 spots away from making it his first junior main event start as well, as standing in the way. Peter Harquin there in 11th, and Braden Westfall on the AEM Karting LN kart, running in that final transfer spot right now, P40. End of the group there, the 828 machine. That's Jordan Martin on the Rocket Racing Company entry. Up the road, battling here side by side. Contact even. And that's going to be the 804 Bowen Green moving by, and there's issues as well. Is that the 845 of Harquin, or maybe the 846 of Meyer Lewis? One of the two. That was Lewis. No, Lewis fell back further. That was indeed Harquin. Harquin well outside the transfer zone now, going wide at the exit at turn number 11.
The issues are starting to build up here. Time progressing. Let's go down side by side. Alex, you're standing by.
Thank you, Justin. Here, Jonathan Kodak. Jonathan, I just want to know, here in a B pre-final situation, what are you telling your young drivers before they head onto the racetrack?
The most important thing with drivers is just to stay calm, let things play out, and just see how the race goes. Obviously, you need to be aggressive, but it's smart aggression. Work your way forward. Don't cost yourself time to leaders, and then just make sure that you're in a position, obviously, to make the main. So, like, we have Will out there doing a great job, making sure that he's gaining positions to get himself in that top 10 position to make the main. So that's the key to drivers.
Well, talk to me about Will real quick, because I know this is what, maybe his 5th day ever in a junior go-kart?
Yeah, it's his 5th day, so decided, hey, it's time to move out of mini. Let's step it up. Let's go to junior. So right now, just being realistic, let's look at a 6-month program to where we're going to build you up, get you in a position to start competing for top 10s, being realistic, going to top 5 and top 3, and then looking for wins. So right now, again, development, pushing them in terms of driving in deeper, turning in later, all those key fundamentals to develop that you bring over from mini into junior, which then roll into the big cars, and then, again, building up the physical side of things to then get you in the position to obviously be challenging for the win.
Thank you, Jonathan.
What was that?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Oh, man. Contact all around the racetrack here in KA100 Junior. We just saw a little side-by-side moment down there at turns 1 and 2. Bowen Green in the 804 going wheel to wheel, and he went wide. So did another driver as well. And I think it may have been, it wasn't Martin, but it was another one of the LN karts. Here's Isaac Payne going to work in the middle of the scrum as well. There's Braden Westfall now back behind Grayson Knoll, so 9th and 10th. Here's Vitor. Big move down the inside. Got him. William Vitor, a little bit of a bog on the end of the corner. Door to door for the transfer spot. Westfall wants it. Vitor still going to take it through turn 1, and he might be able to bring through. Martin, not going to happen there.
Going to get this on through as a result of that squeeze. Just wasn't able to make the pass. Now it's the matter of getting lined back up again. Transfer Westfall still holding on to it. It's going to be the question of what's going to happen the rest of the way for some of the others. You see them all lined up. Moving up the order with Knoll. Now has pressure from the 832 over the rear end. Trying to make the move. Trying to make the pass. How about the cut to the inside? A couple spots by Vitor this lap. With under 2 minutes to work with, Vitor already up to 9th. Westfall now the first one out.
What a charge forward for William Vitor here now. Look at the gap and the spots gained. Vitor is up 9. Huge improvement here from 18th on the grid for William Vitor, with still time to get himself an even better spot in the show. And more importantly, as Jonathan said, it's just about getting in. Focus on being in a transfer spot. If you can get something more, controlled aggression for sure, but you do not want to throw that ticket away. And now for Braden Westfall, who spent most of the race on the bubble, he's on the outside looking in, trying to continue the challenge with Grayson Knoll. These two have been going at it all race. They've been around each other since the drop of the green, and Jordan Martin still looks on there on that Rocket Racing Company LN Kart behind Westfall to get himself back in the show. Braden gets by, and Knoll goes a little bit wide there in turn 2.
I think it's a great spot for Westfall with that pass. It actually cost Knoll so much trying to roll it on down in the marbles. Now it's the question for Knoll. Can he hold on, or rather, better yet, can he even stay in the 11th spot? Because right now that 828 wants to go really quickly here, and Jordan Martin needs to go fast. Some more battling throughout the field. Seen some squabbling with the 816, making some passes. Seeing the battle all across this racetrack and close out strong in amongst this field. Again, Westfall is the cut line. Morsens once again up in the pack.
Now, these drivers could be able to still be in the race if post-race penalties do bump some drivers back, but they got to stay as close as they can to the top 10. Check out Brandon Saraki now closing on in the 13th spot. He's on that black and yellow Franklin Motorsports machine. Gap at the line from Braden Westfall in the final ticket to the big dance back to Grayson Knoll, 1.3 seconds. So he's still got a lot of time to burn, or in the case of Knoll, burn up. And of course now it's on the pressure of Jordan Martin and the Rocket Racing Company Miami, Florida-based team rooting on their young kid to see if he can't hunt down Braden Westfall. 2 to go this time by. Saraki continuing to close to Grayson Knoll. All the while, Easton Kubinski, by the way, guys, long gone. 5.5 seconds up the road from Ben Gleberman and Mason Landers. Kai Mars, Bowen Green, all in that main group there from second on back. And then you have that 4-pack there that just flurried on by inside the top 10. Saraki now putting the heat on Grayson Knoll. Couldn't quite get past him at the end of the backstretch, so he'll stay put. Vitor pushing along here with Arthur Barbe. He's going to go by him for the 8th spot. Jordan Martin to Braden Westfall. The gap's open to 2 seconds now. And Westfall looks, oh no! Braden Westfall with a problem. And the 847 comes to a halt at the exit of the last turn, coming to the white flag. And a mechanical failure is going to take Braden Westfall out of the main. And it will now promote Jordan Martin into the main. Grayson Knoll and Brandon Saraki now the first drivers on the outside looking in. Easton Kubinski still safely in. The fight for second on back still going on. Isaac Payne leading that next group with Vitor and Barbe. Jordan Martin trying to stay ahead of this madness. Brandon Saraki getting by Grayson Knoll. He'll move to 11th on the final lap. All the while, Kubinski will score the win here in the B Pre-Final. Beyond him, it'll still be a toss-up. And for this group here, this is, contact there side by side. That's Luca Gomez on the Drive Your Line Kart Sport Comp Kart, hanging tough and still in 12th away, and that could be key. Even though it's provisionally outside the show, it could all change once they get to the scale lines. But as things stand, your provisional results as they cross the line: Kubinski, your B Pre-Final winner; Ben Gleberman, second; Kai Mars, Bowen Green race their way into the show, third and fourth; Matthew Landers in 5th; Meyer Lewis in 6th; Isaac Payne 7th, William Vitor, Arthur Barbe, and Jordan Martin, the final driver provisionally inside of the danger zone. And Brandon Saraki will provisionally be the first man out in 11th from that B pre-final, along with Grayson Knoll, Luca Gomez, Luke Fedowitz, Ahmed Mustafa, who rebounds to 15th, Riley Domelier, Alex Miller, and on. But Jordan Martin, the last man in by just a hair.
Great, my bumper's got a hole in the bottom of it. I need new bumper.
I wouldn't say that too loud.
Okay, one more here. Thanks. No, look at Lane. Say anything. Say nothing but or the race or aggression. Nothing. Say nothing. Head on camera. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Bro, look out.
Keep it slow so people aren't trying to catch up real quick, you guys, right? So you can go out hot real then, but start backing it down and come out right around there, okay? All right, good luck, guys.
See you later.
A good sign of good luck here for KA Stars as they get set for their B pre-final. That was your front row starters getting a quick bit of intel from race director Alec Coates, letting them know what he wants out of them for the start of our final session in the morning rotation before we take a break on the airwaves and then get set for the Mazda Motorsports Pro Show here this afternoon. Should be a ton of fun with OKN Stars, OKN Junior, and of course the Pro Stars division. All three shaping up to be some very entertaining mains with three of the fastest drivers amongst each of the classes all kind of getting shuffled down after the two motos yesterday into the middle of the top 10 or further back. In fact, both of your top qualifiers in OKNJ failing to finish in that pre-final or in that second moto, so they're going to be having some work to do. All of that, again, coming up at 1:15 p.m. Eastern, live here on Kart Chaser from America's home for racing, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Engines are firing and just about to get released here for the KA Stars B pre-final. Then it's straight into main event action here for us, Justin. It's warming up slowly. I know you were a little bit chilly this morning, but it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah, it's starting to get pretty warm outside right now. It went up pretty dramatically, actually, looking at the weather forecast in terms of the way the temperatures are. 58 degrees Fahrenheit may not sound like a lot, but it's supposed to peak at 65 potentially today with those temperatures. So it is much warmer outside compared to the very chilly conditions a little while ago. Now it's going to be the question, though, of who's going to be able to make sure they're rising to the occasion here amongst this field. Here we go.
Joshua Sumvalis and Racing Edge Motorsports will lead the way to green alongside Factory Kart Zone. Aiden Shimbashi, Chris Harrower, and Mason Surgener will make up row number 2.
Brock Knowles in the 5th position, Byron Daly in 6th. Then you have Remy Ignal in the 7th spot with Autumn Fisher in the 8th position. Logan Moore and Chase Adams all the way back in the 10th spot for this field.
Adams on that final transfer spot. Top 10 go. The rest stop here. Carter Thompson, Nick Mercier, Lida, Anbar, Santaniello, Isabella Simpson, and co. We are ready for action. Pre-final B for KA Stars. Into the tram lines here. Sumvalis has them nice and slow, and he'll pick the power up, and we're green for pre-final B with KA Stars.
Good start. 3 wide off the start for several rows deep. A couple of those drivers happen to sort themselves out fast in the mid-pack, but up front. Good start for your race leader, Surgeon and Knowles with a good launch. Amongst those Sombalas, I should rather say, and Shibashi with the good launches. Rest of the field already single filed out as they try and sort themselves into these final stretches here.
Yeah, let's watch it now down through turn. Oh man, a little bit of contact there. Side-by-side action. Aiden Shimbashi and looked like Carter Thompson and more contact still. That's the 901. Hanging on, Remy Angel, 2x2 to the line. Logan Mueller on the outside of one of the best karts. That's Byron Daly down on the bottom side. He'll try to get through, a little bit of contact here and there. He hangs on.
Just a bit of argy-bargy. It's nothing too major right now with how things are looking at the moment. Just have to be careful that you don't end up wrecking yourself in such a spot right now early on in the race. Daly is the cut line as things shape out. There's some drivers leapfrogging. Adams trying to make his way ahead and try and pull his way to the next pack.
Down the inside now with a move there. Oh, side by side still. Logan Mueller, Byron Daly. Move up ahead was Remy Angel losing a spot to Ben Lyda or Carter Thompson. And out of that final turn, we'll get a better update of where they all shifted. Thompson loses two. Chase Adams and Lyda able to get by. Mueller right now outside looking in. Byron Daly last transfer spot provisionally to Peyton Klein, Evan Santaniello, and more. And we continue to keep our eyes right around that action zone. But up front as well, it's still relatively close. Joshua Sumbalas by about a half second back to Chris Harrower. Brock Knowles started this week so strong, and then the bad luck that has taken him outside of the top 30 in the points put him into this B pre-final. He sits third, Surgeoner fourth, Shimbashi fifth, Chase Adams about 8/10 away, and then kind of this group here following Ben Lyda and Carter Thompson. Thompson even losing a little bit to Lyda last time by the loop. So Logan Mueller passing for the transfer spot. He'll take it away from Byron Daly. P10 for the 970 or 907.
It seems like he's starting to pull away actually a little bit in this early stage. Has to be able to get comfortable in terms of the rhythm as they're all squabbling behind him, mind you. They are not working together at all to be able to get up to the cut line with what they're doing. Your contact, and how about indeed contact here? The 901 pushed up out of the groove with some side pod contact pushing them up and out. Amongst that top 10, it looks like. Daly back in the conversation for the top 10 with that contact. Does hold on to the 10th spot and a spin at the start and finish line.
Oh man, two actually. One was so far off we didn't even see him. He was hidden behind the timing building. The 992 of Evan Santaniello, and the other one, Peyton Klein in the 935 colliding here, coming to the timing loop. Both of them will be more than outside of the transfer zone, unfortunately.
Yeah, off with the Narnia, you can call it for Santaniello in that situation. But now, all of this is while they all settle back on down and back into the groove. This second pack of drivers, 12 on back with Ambar on back. They've been extremely chippy, and the chippiness isn't going to help them. Fisher now leads that pack for the time being.
Let's take a look at lap times here and see if anything is going to potentially close up. As of now, they have been battling so much that they've lost time. We haven't really seen a clean lap opportunity for Autumn Fisher and Hamza Anbar back there outside the cut zone to see if maybe they can start to claw their way towards the top 10 because they're a good ways back from those two right there, Logan Mueller and Byron Daly. Even ahead of Autumn Fisher still, Remy Angel on the Arcane Tony card. We know that the Arcane group have been able to find speed for Peyton Phillips. They've got him pretty close to good. But sadly, they've got two drivers here in the B pre-final. Remy Angel on screen in the 901. Hamza Anbar a little behind him. Back there in the 13th spot. Both of them 11th, 13th, and out of it. Autumn Fisher, big lap last time. She really closed the gap up. In fact, she went purple, I believe. 43.417, fastest on the racetrack. Here she goes for 11th. This may not be over. The young lady from Canada trying to make something happen here in this B pre-final with still 3 minutes plus 2 laps to go. The gap from her to Logan Mueller and Byron Daly, it's about, call it maybe at 2 seconds after that pass.
And if she does the same pace that she's done for much of this now run, she's going to be able to close up that time with about 10th off. She was 2/10 quicker than Logan Mueller, a 10th quicker than Byron Daly. She needs to be an extra 10th or 2 quicker just to be safe, maybe, if she can get anything out of this Kart to close up to the back end for the 10th spot. Right now you see that margin, 1.6 seconds. Last time by was the gap to the line.
Byron Daly in that Prodigy Motorsports Best Kart is losing time pretty rapidly, not just to Autumn Fisher, but also to Logan Mueller in front of him. And if he can't find some more speed or bank on some serious racing up in the main pack, he's going to find himself with just himself around and more drivers wanting to get that spot away from him. Mueller pulled away a little bit more that time. Daly now nearly a full second back from him. And within a second, it's gone down to 9/10 of a second for Autumn Fisher. She is flying right now. 1 minute, 45 seconds plus 2 laps to go. Her brother Ty racing halfway across the U.S. in New Orleans this weekend. And here she is trying to do the family proud in North Carolina as well by making her way into the A-Main 4K Stars. Big run out of turn number 11 for her. She'll pull within a car length now with Daly as we come to the line for a minute 20 plus 2 laps to go. Call it essentially about 4 laps remaining. Big run, big look inside. Clear. Autumn Fisher takes over that final transfer spot.
Daly doesn't seem to have to get up and go. He needs to be able to keep up in that Prodigy machine. Losing lots of ground already. Fisher is just rocketing her way off and away. So something going sour, I think, on Daly's kart for him to just continue to lose ground second by second. Not enough straight line speed in that machine.
No, not quite. It definitely doesn't look all put together. It's a bummer for Byron Daly. One of many drivers here with a 9 to 5 through the week that limits a bit of what he can travel and the races he can get to. And on the limited budget and limited time off, this weekend was, I'm sure, one of those he was really looking forward to here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it just hasn't really been anywhere what I'm sure he would have hoped. Last year, a bit of a struggle. This year, different material, moving from the Maranello chassis to the Best Kart, with the Prodigy Motorsports camp becoming a new dealer. And now, the gap for Logan Mueller to Autumn Fisher, 7/10. She is rolling through the field here. It'll hit the 0 on the timer this time, so that means that we'll be coming to 2 laps to go. As long as she just makes a clean pass, if she feels like she needs to go by Logan Mueller, it won't make a difference on the transfer spot. It'll just flip-flop the back row of the grid for that A final, but any contact here or any contact up the road, there's still a good bit of battling. Second place here, Brock Knowles just got by Chris Harrower moments ago. Mason Surgener, Aiden Shibashi, they are all close together in that group from second back to 6th, or second back to 5th. Fisher's gonna get by Mueller here. No pressure there. Mueller's gonna try to cross her over. I don't know if he'll have the momentum to get it done back at turn number 10. He does not. Autumn will hold, and she should be able to get away. So that should put her safely 9th now. Mueller back on the hot seat again. Coming to the white flag with plenty of gap out back to Byron Daly. The focus can shift a little further forward as well. More changes in the front. Mason Surgener now going by Chris Harrower. That's for 3rd. Any chaos here could still open the door of opportunity for more to join and for others to fall out of that transfer window.
Yes, indeed. Remember, you talked about the potential with the penalties. There are some bigger gaps starting to form up, so at the very least, we're pushing about 3 seconds, it seems, for the top 3 with how things hold as they come to the checkered. Some more sends.
Yeah, that was Aiden Shibashi getting by on Harrower. So move Shibashi a little bit further forward. And now coming to the line, checkers in the air. Joshua Sumbalis will score the B Pre-Final win. Brock Knowles, Mason Surgener, Shibashi will steal 4th at the end. But the story of the race, the impressive drive by Autumn Fisher to move her way into the race from starting outside of it at the end of that opening lap. Nicely done for Autumn. And the TV Kart USA squad will get another one into the main here this afternoon. On the other end, a heartbreaker provisionally for Byron Daly as his run here, along with Hamza Anbar, Isabella Simpson, Remy Angel, Nick Mercer, ends at the B Pre-Final. But Sumvalis, Knowles, Surgener, Shimbashi, Harrow were the top 5, and then Adams, Lyda, Thompson, and Autumn Fisher and Logan Mueller, your top 10 that will be going through to the big dance here this afternoon. So good stuff for them. It concludes the on-track activity for the morning rotation of sessions now from America's Home for Racing. The Mazda Motorsports Pro Show coming up here in about 45 minutes. That'll be free to view for everyone as we check down in the scale lines. Good afternoon from Concord, North Carolina. It is time for the Mazda Motorsports Pro Show.